This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we're your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And, we are starting something new.
Nope.
That was more of a ghost noise. I don't know. Yeah.
That's true, I guess. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
Kind of?
There you go. Yeah.
Shoot my grappling hook. That's mainly what she does.
Yes, there you go. Or, I could see ghosts eventually coming up in this show at some point.
Yeah.
Or alternatively,
phantoms.
you could make, phantoms perhaps would be more accurate. Or you could make, little squeaking noises, maybe, like a little... Naked mole rat,
perhaps?
Perhaps, because, yes, we're starting a new show, new arc today. Very excited. We've ended Inspector Gadget, and we are just full force moving ahead with...
Boom.
Almost like the polar opposite in the show, the Disney
incompetence
classic,
to competence.
to pure competence, yes. But the Disney classic show, we said it, millennial women, you will know more than anyone else. Yep. Kim Possible.
Woo! I want to sing the theme song, but I'm afraid because it's such a newer show. In grand scheme of our shows, that we're gonna get sued.
No. And they might write us a letter, but I doubt it.
Reach me. Yeah.
It's such a good show. And honestly, with the whole, I don't know when the bracket thing, our theme song bracket thing is going to air. We're putting that up in relationship to this, but I assume that it's maybe started
around the same time.
If it hasn't, we have a bracket coming out soon. And the reason that this theme song isn't included in it, a cartoon theme song bracket, if you will.
Yes.
And the reason this theme song isn't included in it is because we weren't covering it as the time of the recording of that bracket.
Yes.
But it would have fit well in there. And I think it would have competed.
Yes.
This theme song is a banger, for sure.
Yes, 100%. Yes. Yeah, I talk about that during my intro a little bit with that exact same comment of I'm kind of glad we hadn't covered this show yet, because I wonder which ones it would have knocked off in our process to get there.
Yeah.
So
definitely Jabberjaw and the Funky Phantom.
What wouldn't knock those off?
They never had a chance.
Easy.
But
I could write a theme song that knocks those off, Alexis.
Yes. Us humming along other random theme songs is gonna knock those off.
Yes, exactly. So yes, we are starting a Kim Possible arc. As usual, I'm going to do the first episode here, and I'll take you through the premise of the show, the main characters, some fun facts, that kind of stuff before launching into my episode. So, Kim Possible. You all probably already are familiar with it. It is an animated action crime, hopefully, Disney show that ran from 2002 to 2007, but there were some gaps between some of the seasons and some movies and that kind of stuff. And the show follows our titular character, Kim Possible, as she and her team of agents, collectively known as Team Possible, fight evil foes across the world in agent kung fu style adventures. And she's a teenage girl. That's pretty important.
Yes, that's very important. Not even able to drive teenage level.
Yes.
Not 18, 19, 14, 15
a freshman.
Probably. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, a freshman in high school, basically. And with that, we also get into the battles of being a teenage girl in high school. Probably the scarier battles, in fact, most of the time for Kim.
Much scarier, yes. We know the greatest villains of all are teenagers.
Exactly, the scariest ones of all.
Yes.
I wanted to pause and ask, what was your relationship with this show? Did you watch it a lot? Not so much? Just getting into it now? What's the journey?
Yeah, so I feel like I've said it on this podcast in the past that me and my brothers didn't really watch the Disney Channel growing up. We watched all the Disney movies, and somehow we were into DuckTales and Tailspin and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we never watched Kim Possible or I think Recess came on Disney at one point. So I feel like I watched a handful of Kim Possible episodes when I was at friends' houses, and it's not that I didn't like it, but for some reason I think we were resistant to Disney shows in hindsight. Like, I reflected on it while watching this show for this podcast. Now I'm like, why didn't we watch Disney? And I think we were like confused about like, no, these are characters. Like, Disney is like a movie studio. It's a movie company, okay? And these characters are in movies. Who are these other people that aren't in any
movie
of
were
these
they
Disney?
in?
Exactly. Like, if they weren't in a Disney movie, I don't want anything to do with them. And if the Disney movie came after the show, I don't care.
No,
movie
thank
first.
you.
So I don't know. Like, we didn't really watch it. I guess there were a lot of other channels we were focused on. So for me growing up, like, I never actually really watched Kim Possible besides that handful of episodes.
Yeah.
Like, I know who the main characters are and remember that from being younger, but I can't tell you like the plot point of a single full episode of the show. So I'm actually very much enjoying it, watching it now, though. I will say, like, I'm like, wait, this is great. I'm very glad that we're doing this. And like the voice cast, as I'm sure we'll talk about, is amazing too. So a lot of bangers. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. We're the same person as always. Similarly, I think we were a pretty staunch Nickelodeon Cartoon Network family. I mean, Cincinnati, it was channels 27 and 28, just right back and forth between Nickelodeon Cartoon Network.
That is also definitely why you're so right. Like,
I didn't need to go further.
All the way up to channel. What was Disney? Like 36 or 38? I don't even know.
38.
I don't even know. 27, 28 though? It's right there. Perfect.
Boom.
Sorry.
Go on. Like 1, 2, go. 26 was Animal Planet, just right in a row. These three live in my mind forever. But yeah, so similarly, like I obviously knew of Kim Possible and like would catch episodes. But yeah, when I watched Disney Channel, I was only almost watching like, either the movies, the spin-off shows, or like the live action stuff. So like the live action sitcoms or the live action, like, Disney original movies, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there was like no explicit reason why I didn't watch like the Disney Channel cartoons. But now that you said like what you said of like, sorry, were you in a movie? No? Never heard of it.
Exactly. We're like such elitist cartoon consumers, even as like 10-year-olds. We're like,
exactly.
What's your cred? What's your
sorry?
Why should I scroll or dial all the way up to channel 38 for you?
Yeah, sorry, who are you? I didn't think so.
Exactly.
So yes, and I similarly have been really having a lot of fun watching it and like finally understanding like all of like the references and that kind of stuff, and like like I knew who the main characters were, but like that was basically it. So it's been really fun now watching it and being like, wait, I love this show.
Yeah, it's actually great. Yes.
So
very
great.
Funny.
Well, that does make me feel better that we're on the same page, because I feel like there's so much like lore and like theories of the show and characters and stuff that I was like, I'm not going to know any of it. And like, I'm going to say something that's going to be totally wrong, but now we both won't know any of it, which makes me feel better.
In a way, yeah. Like it is and I mean this in the best possible way, like a cultish show. Like it's got a cult following. Like if you love Kim Possible growing up, like you love it. You have all these theories about this or that, or all the backstories of all these different characters.
Yes.
And so if y'all are anyone's tuning into the YouTube videos or the podcast for the first time, like drop comments and inform us.
Let me know the theory
about this show. Yeah, exactly. We want to hear the theories because we only have so much time to Reddit them on our own and to inject those into these episodes. We'll do our best, but share all of your memories and thoughts about it, please, because we're newbies. We're novices to this show.
Exactly. So, yes, this show was made by Bob Shuley and Mark McCorkle, who they worked on a lot of Disney shows back in the day. But, and this is very funny that you said this, they were all spin-off shows from movies. Like you were saying, like how, I mean, we talked about this even in Tailspin, like that was a spin-off from Jungle Book. Yeah. And so these two, Bob and Mark, wanted to do something original. And even other writers at Disney had approached them specifically with the desire to make something totally new that would specifically, obviously, entertain kids in our exact age bracket at that time. But a show that was also clever enough to keep adults engaged, which is very interesting that they like explicitly wanted that. And I think they do a really good job of that. So little Bob and Mark got to work, and according to Wikipedia,
well done, little Bob and Mark.
Little Bob and Mark, the icons. So they wanted to make a show, these two, that had a realistic, but like realistic in the sense of like not having superpowers. So like a like average girl type of thing.
Human. Yeah.
Yes, a regular human who is also like a badass female character so that girls, including their own daughters, could look up to her. And this was kind of like, in that era of like, starting to have cartoons where badass females were the leads and like kind of that wave happening. Yeah. And so reportedly, again, according to Wikipedia, they were in the elevator one day, they'd been brainstorming, and Mark looked at Bob and said, Kim Possible, she can do anything. And Bob said, Ron Stoppable, he can't. And the show wrote itself from there. I don't care if it's not true.
I was gonna say Pixar didn't have enough. It sounds to me like they had those lines in their mind forever, and then they just found the right time to actually say them when like maybe one other random person was nearby and could be like,
room.
Wow, did you guys just come up with that? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a show we've been thinking of, but like, that came out of nowhere.
But that was totally random, right? Did you love it?
You love it?
Yes.
How do you think that'll focus test? You think that girls ages 9 to 15 will love it too?
Plus their parents watching it as they walk by? Yeah?
Right.
Okay, cute.
Cool.
So the show itself purposely parodies a lot of existing superhero and like spy content with like over the top plots and characters, and this is my favorite part so far of the show, a lot of like self-referential humor to like let the adults know they know exactly what they're doing. Like wink, wink, nudge, nudge all the time in this show. And they do a really good job. And I wonder, like how much kids actually picked up on that. But like the adults, I love it. They do.
Yeah, same.
It's really funny.
It's like
it's
really
a very
smart
funny
humor.
show. Yeah.
It is. Like, and it's very smart humor. It's stuff that you might not like belly laugh at it, but it's the kind of jokes where, and this might be like the utmost praise coming from me, but it's the kind of jokes that you hear in like Futurama or something where you like stop and think about it and you're like, wait, what?
It's like a little like
2 seconds later
side comment type of
and
thing.
It happens fast too. Like it's like in the dialogue, it's not like they want you to focus on the joke. They say it quick and keep moving, and like there's already another joke by the time you process the last one.
Yes. And actually that's one of the things with the show is that I think I had read that they purposely were making it like sitcom-esque with like the dialogue versus how a lot of cartoons is like, just focus on the action for 45 seconds. It's like, there's so much dialogue and it's very like quick moving, which is cool. And then I didn't realize this, but it's really funny again to what you were saying of like, we didn't watch the Disney Channel shows unless they were spin-offs. Like, I didn't even know they existed. But, again, according to Wikipedia, that this was the second animated series to air exclusively on Disney Channel. And it was the first being The Proud Family. And that one I was familiar with more so growing up. Yeah, same for some reason. Which also an iconic show. And it was the first ever show to be produced as fully an original series for Disney. So while they had the spin-offs, Kim Possible was the first like fully original characters just made by Disney. Just for Disney. So maybe like Proud Family like was made by someone else. But aired exclusively on Disney, but someone else made it and created it. And then Kim Possible was fully in shop.
Yeah, maybe that. Or maybe The Proud Family started as like a Disney Channel movie or something and then became a show. Who knows?
You're just trying to make it a movie. You're just always trying to make it a movie.
I'm trying to explain why I do know The Proud Family. Although, but like I still didn't watch it that often, but I watched it more than probably Kim Possible for sure growing up.
And this was the first Disney series to be made in high def. Good old 2002. Coming out with high def.
Wow.
HD. I feel like the surround sound comes with it. So, yes, let's go through our characters. We'll talk about the voice actors at the end after we go through all of the characters.
Okay. So, hold your applause.
Alexis. Hold your applause.
Jeez.
So hold your applause for me. Thank you.
Yes.
So
just clap for you every time. Good job, Grace, describing that character.
that's what I need in life. I need positive reinforcement
Right now,
constantly.
yeah. Don't we all?
So we start and we've got Kim Possible, obviously, first. Kim is a redhead with green eyes and a die-hard dedication to a crop top. Her spy outfit is kind of like a Tomb Raider spinoff. She's got like a more conservative Tomb Raider spinoff, if you will.
Pants and sleeves.
Age appropriate.
Yes.
So she's got a black long sleeve, like turtleneck, obviously crop top, and like military green pants and black gloves. When she comes to being a teenager, she's a little basic. She's worried about boys and zits and, the usual teenage girl stuff.
Cheerleading.
Cheerleading. She's a cheerleader, very importantly. And I did some digging into the backstory of her to be like, how exactly did she become? Because she's a normal teenager. Like we said, she's not a superhero. She doesn't have superpowers. She's not like some tech genius.
Just like very good gymnast.
Yes,
like
she's a
martial
cheerleader.
Arts.
She's really good. She's athletic.
That's
it.
Like you or I could have been this.
Exactly. If we'd stayed in gymnastics or something when we were a kid, could have been us.
Maybe.
But apparently, how this came about, because the first episode kind of references it, like a website. And I was like, what? So I went and looked it up. So basically, when she was younger, a mere 8th grader, junior high student, she was basically looking for jobs, and she made a website for herself in the process, kimpossible.com. And she claimed on the website that she, quote, could do anything. And from there, she accidentally, basically wires got crossed, and she was accidentally hired for a mission that she successfully did, thanks to her help from her smart friends who really kind of saved the day a lot of the time as well. And it basically popped off from there, that they were like, oh, this child could save the day from a violent crime. We should keep hiring
Sign
her.
me up. Yeah. Hey, take my money.
Which basically made me be like, so Kim's a mercenary.
Yeah. I mean, when you describe it that way.
Yeah,
and I always wondered, I was hoping you would explain it in this episode. It was taking everything in me to not watch the first episode of the show, because I was I need to know how she became
doesn't get explained. I had to look it up. I think it's either in a movie or
not
like
even
a special,
spy, but a mercenary, because she's not a spy. She's not undercover.
A mercenary.
Everybody knows her identity, and Ron, who you'll get to, and So you can't even call her a spy. You can't say she's a secret agent. She doesn't go undercover necessarily.
She doesn't work for anyone else either.
And that was my big question. I was like, who is she working for? But it's always just her and her friends. I'm like, this is crazy.
She's a mercenary. Okay. She's literally a mercenary.
That she runs a mercenary company on her own. She is a child soldier.
It's actually a
self-employed.
Self-employed. She's a boss babe.
Honestly, we could all learn something from her.
# mercenary boss babe.
Boss babe, yeah.
So, yes, I don't know if that really gets talked about in the lore, but she's a mercenary, which I guess is really great for us to learn about as kids in 2002, right when, some mercenary companies were really kicking into high gear.
Mm-hmm. They were really trying to encourage us to take a certain path in life. Guys, be like Kim Possible, right?
Hey,
we need your help, kids.
Violence for hire is totally legal.
It's totally fine. Don't question it.
Don't
celebrate
question
it, in fact. Buy stuffed toys and action figures based on it. Yeah, look up to it.
So, yes, as we mentioned, Kim is a super athletic cheerleader. She's kind of a tomboy sometimes, and she's super confident, which is why she's able to kick ass. And I'll get to her team that makes all of this happen. But basically, her role in all of the missions is to basically be the muscle, more or less, and be able to kick ass essentially, and be super brave and super daring. A quick note about her family: she does come from a family of basically geniuses. Her dad's a rocket scientist, her mom's a neurosurgeon, and she has a set of twin younger brothers. I know you love their names, Tim and Jim. They rhyme as
the only way Tim name should be.
And exactly. And her brothers are kind of menaces, but they're also geniuses. So she's very smart family. And Kim is smart too.
Yeah. And she's smart too. I mean, I don't know if you'd say she's like exceptional, but she definitely gets like all A's. Probably.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe a B or something. Yeah. And also, so just to mention her parents too, like I was hoping for you to explain her whole background and everything too, because I had to know if her parents had anything to do with it. Like they're these very like genius level scientists that have these high level jobs. It's like, oh, maybe someone that they work with was like, oh, your daughter, she must also have some of your genius and she's also super athletic. Let's do okay.
They were just like
none of that. It's just coincidence.
But they're super supportive of her and like super proud of her all the time. They're like,
and they know that's the thing. Yeah, they know that she's out there like defeating villains. Yeah, exactly. Being villains. I guess it depends on who's hiring you or what your perspective is.
Exactly. Yeah, no, they're like totally fine with it. Which, again, like in watching this first episode, none of this is explained. And so I was like, what is crappening? And so I did immediately like go to the backstory to be like, we gotta have an explanation, which again I think happens like way later on in like the series. Again, I think there's maybe like a 3-part
like a flashback or something.
Yeah, like explanation series or like movie or something like that. But so that's how that all happened.
Interesting. Maybe we'll get to it one day, or maybe someone will drop a comment explaining, or leave
just be like,
review explaining.
Is this correct? Question mark. Was the wiki fandom lying to me? Let me know. Because I did no further research beyond that page. So then we have, I already mentioned him, but Ron Stoppable, who is both Kim's sidekick and her best friend since childhood. And like, I don't know, I feel like it's not a spoiler anymore because it's a Disney Channel show and this came out like well over a decade ago. But eventually, of course, will they, won't they? Kim and Ron do eventually get together like in the last little bit of the show when they're like seniors or something like that, because it like follows them in like I think it was like
through high school.
Like the first 2 seasons, and I think there was a break, and then it was like renewed, and there was like a time jump or maybe by the last season. But anyways, so that's a whole arc that they go on that I don't think we'll have time to go on in this our arc of this.
Yeah,
but you know,
if it even comes up, because like you said, that's in the later seasons. I know in my first few episodes, at least, they're like just friends.
Exactly.
You know, whatever. Anyways.
Definitely from the jump, like in this episode, I was like, wait a second, but then I was like, oh no, I already knew that this happened. Like, the grand
which that much I knew too.
It was the same as Lizzie McGuire Gordo situation. Same arcs here.
Same thing.
It's a Disney show. It's gonna happen.
Scenes affair, if you will. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Same story told over time, over and over again.
Tale as old as dead.
Yes.
So Ron is blonde, freckled, wears super baggy clothing, and he is the comedic relief of the show. He's awkward, generally clumsy, and is like extremely pure-hearted and like loyal and honest. And I love Ron. He's incredible. He's a team player, always super hyped, again, super loyal. Over the show's course, he does also like gain confidence and like fighting skills. There's like this whole other subplot line of like him basically becoming an actual ninja. So like that's the thing that happens. That I don't know if any of our episodes will get into it, but like that's a thing about Ron in the lore. And the actual show. So then we have the sidekick to Kim's sidekick, aka Ron's pet Rufus.
The most important character in the show. My favorite character. I mean, personally.
Truly. No. Yes. I love Ron, but Rufus is obviously number one always. And Rufus is as we mentioned, a naked mole rat, which I feel like what I knew the most about this show is the existence of the naked mole rat Rufus.
Yes.
Disney knew
like that became
to add a cute, weird animal character.
Exactly.
Yes. And he's just Ron's pet. He can like sometimes squeak out some words, but he's just always hanging out in Ron's pocket, having a good time pretty much.
Yeah.
And then we have our third, and I mean, honestly, probably most important member of Team Possible, which is Wade Load.
Yes.
So Wade is a little younger than Kim and Ron. I think he's 10 while they're probably like 14, 15-ish. And Wade is a actual literal genius. Like if Wade was alive today, he would own a tech company and be a billionaire. Like he was making this tech.
He would start IBM. He would have been the founder of IBM.
Exactly.
Literally, or Microsoft
precisely.
or something.
Both, probably.
Maybe,
yes. Wade is the tech genius behind everything Kim has going on. he's like a little chubby kid with glasses who we pretty much exclusively see from behind his command center, aka like 1,000 computers in his bedroom where he is like remotely
hacking.
Yes, he's hacking. He's remotely assisting and guiding the team. He's building the tech. He's building the weapons. He is Big Brother. He's monitoring everything.
Yes.
Like, there's no team possible without Wade. Like, Wade,
no, it falls apart.
Does pretty just again. Kim is the muscle. He sends her in to go take care of things, but also often Wade saves the day. Wade to me, he's number 2 after Rufus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah. In terms
I love
of
Wade
characters, yes,
very deeply so far.
Yes. Yes.
Although, actually, well, he's tied for another character, I would say. But Rufus, obviously, number 1. Don't get it twisted. Mm-hmm. So, I won't get into all of the villains that Kim faces or like regularly sees again, because I think a lot of them will come up throughout the show. But I will talk about kind of like the 2 main arch nemesis. It's one team.
Nemesis. I love that. Is that
I don't think that's
word?
correct.
It is now.
Nemesis is.
Yes,
I think
it is.
Nemesis sounds better.
Nemesis is fantastic.
Thank you. Uh-huh. So yes, we have first Dr. Draken, who is Kim's like numero uno bad guy. He's kind of like the Mojo Jojo of this show, as if they were in Powerpuff Worlds. So he always wants world domination. He's a classic mad scientist. He's got light blue skin. He wears one of those like old school, like blue medical lab coats, you know, that kind of has like the buttons up all the side instead. Mm-hmm. He's got spiky black hair. And his deep lore, according to the Wiki fandom, is that he was actually the college roommate of Kim's dad. And at some point, I'm not going to write down his whole lore, but eventually he became evil.
That's in my episode next week.
Oh, hell yes. Okay, great. Yeah. I was like, I don't have time. I already got into so much. I traced it
down. I was like, oh, this is perfect for my first episode.
Okay.
I knew you wouldn't be doing it, so I was like, oh,
hell yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good.
Yes, don't worry. We'll get to that.
Yes. He shows up in my episode, but I don't give him any more lore than this right now of like, he loves robots and he's a megalomaniac and he loves talking about himself and his plans. And that's all I got for him.
Yes.
So then we have...
That sums it up.
Yeah. So then we have Shigo, who should actually be Kim's, like, number 1 arch nemesis, because while she's Draken's hired sidekick, she's really the threat behind all of his operations. She's green with beautifully voluminous black hair full of secrets. She wears a green and black catsuit. She's essentially the, like, dark reflection of Kim. Like, athletic, confident, but very short-tempered, which I guess Kim sometimes is, too. And, like, she has some lore as well. I don't know if you're going to get into that in your episode, too, about her specifically. Yeah. But basically, like,
maybe in a later one.
She used to be a superhero from, like, a superhero family, and basically, like, her brothers were super annoying, and then she also realized she loved evil, and so she was like, deuces, I'm gonna go be evil. And she, I think, found Draken because she was basically also a mercenary and, like, got hired to work with him. Yeah. And I will say, the one thing I also know about Kim Possible is that there's definitely a lot of fanfic and lore and shipping of Shigo and Kim. Like, I know that exists.
Oh, that's interesting, because I thought that Draken and Shigo ended up having a thing at the end.
I think in the show itself, there's like a, ooh, are they together type of thing. But yes, I know that in the actual, not lore of the show, but lore of the fans.
Gotcha.
You know, an alternate ending type of thing, I think exists between the 2 of them.
I see what she's, okay.
And I'm not gonna lie, I love Shigo. Like, I think she's awesome.
Do we know, like, her age range? Is she, like, the same age as Kim, or is she, like...
I don't know.
I don't know. Because I did, my eyebrow raised when I thought I read somewhere that her and Draken may be a thing. I was like, I always thought she was like a teenager.
Maybe in her early 20s then, maybe. Let's say that instead. Because, Draken is not a young man.
No, not as we know. He is Kim's father's age.
Yes, exactly.
Together. So we don't love it. So I would, for that reason alone, I would prefer the fanfic, I guess.
Yes. If she's a teen, let's prefer that. If she's an adult, let's prefer the actual show. But I think it's like,
but no, I love it, yeah.
I read in the show that it was like the very like final episode or like final episodes, it was like, oh, are they together? But then like like her and Draken, but then like at some final scene with Draken, like she goes supposed to be there and she doesn't show up. So I was like,
of course. Oh,
drama.
Drama.
She got hired by someone else. He stopped paying her. She was like,
that's the drama. She's like, oh no,
how
I
it
just got a
works.
new job.
Yeah. I'm for hire.
Of course,
I'm
I'm nice to
mercenary.
you. You're paying me.
You're my boss.
I get contracts.
Yes.
Love you.
Yeah. Ooh, I love money and evil. Duh. So yes, there's again, like we have already hinted at, there's so much backstory to all these characters.
Yes.
We don't have time, especially because now we need to talk about the voice cast.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Which is very important.
talk about a cast of goats, like true all-stars. I'm just gonna like through some of our main ones here. So first we've got Kim, voiced by Disney icon Christy Carlson Romano, who you probably know from Even Stevens, other Disney Channel movies. And she now does a handful of podcasts, including one with the guy who voices Ron, who I'll get to in a second. It's a lot of like Disney, like rewatch type of podcast type of thing, which is cool. And like with a couple of other like kids who have been on Disney as well.
Yeah.
And speaking of Ron, he is voiced, and I'm sorry if I say his name wrong, by Will Friedle, I think is how you say it, who's best known as Friedle, yes, who's best known as Eric Matthews, aka Corey's older brother on freaking Boy Meets World. And
classic.
Yes, and Will, and I don't know if the podcast is still happening, but at least at some point, Will and Christine Carlson Romano, they were hosting one of those like rewatch podcasts together. So then we have Rufus.
The
freaking
star.
Squeaky Rufus.
Yes.
Who is voiced by Nancy Cartwright, aka Bart Simpson and like 50. I started to say 50 and like Simpson at the same time. I came up with system. Bart Simpson and 50,000 other characters you love in the Simpsons and throughout your childhood. And she's from Dayton, Ohio.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she went to Ohio University. I know.
Just another great thing from Ohio.
I know.
Of course. Why am I not? I'm no longer surprised. Of course she's from Ohio.
Exactly.
She's great. Yeah.
Exactly.
But also, I will say, every time Rufus makes a noise, I just think of Bart Simpson. And I think that's partially why I love Rufus so much. Because I'm like, why do I feel like Bart Simpson's just crawling around and Ron's pocket, creating havoc in there.
He kind of looks like a little rat sometimes, little Bart. He's weird looking. So then we have Wade, who is voiced by Taj Mowry, who you might recognize that last name. He is indeed the brother of sister Tia and Tamara Mowry. But he's also been in a lot of other shows, which I didn't realize this, including I don't know if you watched Full House a lot, but he played Michelle Tanner's bestie in Full House as like a little kid.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, oh, I know exactly who he was. Yeah. He was a little kid.
I'm sure as soon as I see it, I would have that mind blown moment. But it's like, I watched Full House a lot growing up, but I just can't remember it now.
He's been suppressed
by so many other things.
Exactly, kind of side character there.
Good for him.
So then we have Draken, the one, the only Joe DiMaggio. You may know him from everything good that's ever been made. Bender on Futurama, Jake in Adventure Time. The list goes on and on forever and ever.
Which also, I just hear Bender every time Dragon talks, and I'm like, that's much less appropriate.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So then, and also funny because when you said earlier, like the show has a lot of like sidelines, like Futurama. I was like, was this DiMaggio? Just
was it? Helping out in the writers' room a little bit.
Yeah.
Ad-libbing some of his own jokes into there.
Exactly. They're pretty good. So then we have Shigo, who is voiced by Nicole Sullivan, who is a comedian you might know from King of Queens and or Mad TV, among many, many other things. And as my last, two more kind of pieces here. This kind of counts as a voice actor because the theme song, Christina Milian.
And I was wondering. I was like, God, this voice sounds so familiar. Good man, good for her. Good job.
Apparently, she's like that song is part of what like launched my career, like boosted it to the next level. And I was like, Yeah, I guess
2002? Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
because she was like early 2000s.
Yep, exactly.
When she got really big. Yeah.
Yes. So then, as my final note, that I found this on Wikipedia, and I've not gone to listen to it yet, but I'm very excited to. In 2022, the voices, and I think this was like to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the show, all of the actors of Kim, Ron, Shigo, and Draken, so Romano, Friedley, DiMaggio, and Sullivan, did a podcast, I Hear Voices, which is the one hosted by Christy and Will, Romano, and Friedley.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And they interviewed the original writers of the show, Bob and Mark, and then all four actors performed a new Kim Possible scene written by the creators, where basically like Kim and Ron like go after Draken and Shigo, while Draken and Shigo are like recording a podcast that they've started or something like that.
That's hilarious.
It sounds so funny. I need to go listen to it. So again, that's the I Hear Voices podcast. And so, yeah, I'm going to go find it. I just didn't have time between discovering this and us recording.
Yes.
So yes, that's very fun and love that.
Amazing. That sounds good.
So that's a lot of intro. We're finally going to get into the episode now.
But
this
critical information, critical info, okay?
Yes, and this show just has so much to say.
Bear with us.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a focal part in history, in cartoon history.
Exactly. So I'm doing season 1, episode 1, entitled Crush. And we start off in Kim's high school.
Right after Valentine's Day, as we're recording.
When we're recording this?
Yeah.
Wow. I know we were so happy to tell us.
Look at you. Yes.
So we start off in Kim's high school, and it's a big week. The school dance is on Friday.
Okay.
And we start off with Ron frantically searching in his extremely disgusting locker. Like, there's full on, like, rotten bananas in there. Books are just falling out every which way. He cannot find Rufus. And I know. And Kim strolls up, and she's like, first of all, Ron, your locker's gross. This is gross. 2, like, can't you just get a normal pet to lose? Which, this is like Ron's like first line. Yeah. And this made me be like, Ron, I see you. Because he looks at her and says, never be normal. And I was like,
Good for you, Ron.
Good for you. Same. Yes. But luckily, Rufus wriggles out of like Ron's like shirt or shorts or something like that, where he had just been snoozing away.
Okay.
And Ron is like so excited to see Rufus again and is trying to talk to Kim about something, but Kim cannot be bothered to say hi to Rufus or listen to what Ron is saying. We basically hear a chorus of angels singing as her jaw drops and she just stares ahead at another teen in baggy clothing and most notably frosted tips.
Oh, God. Straight from 2002.
What an era.
Yeah.
And it is Kim's crush, Josh Menke.
Menke?
So, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, like just a super normal name. Yeah.
Yeah, Josh.
Not like Brock Dallas or something. Like, no, just Josh Menke.
Just Josh. Yeah, just get over there. With prostitutes, just an average kid, 2002. What's the big deal?
Close, exactly. Yeah. Any other boy you could run into in 2002.
Yeah, cool. Exactly. So Josh is putting up a poster for the dance this Friday, and Kim scurries over to him, but then stops when he looks at her. And she says, hi, and hi, how's it going? The dance Friday, this dance. Kim cannot get a sentence out of her mouth to save her life. She can kick butt, but she cannot talk to a boy, it turns out. She's stumbling over her words, making no sense, laughing very awkwardly. And then, to make things worse, it becomes absolutely devastating when we learn that basically Josh doesn't even know who she is. He looks at her and goes, oh, hey, what's up? Are you that Kim Possible kid? I think I saw your name in the newspaper for like saving an ambassador or something like that, right? So he only noticed her because she was in the newspaper and didn't know who she was.
Like, you didn't see my science experiment too, though, at school the other day?
I literally sit next to you every single day.
Yeah, probably. I gave you my pencil in English class the other day.
You asked me what day it was, and I said October 4th. And she is just flabbergasted, so he just walks away. He's like, yeah, right, and walks away.
Which also, though, imagine not being impressed by a 15-year-old saving an ambassador and like a couple days before and then making it to school.
Which, like, you're a teenager. You can't think anything is
priorities.
Cool. But the fact that he was bringing it up, like, Kim, he noticed.
Yeah, that's a good sign,
noticed.
Actually. I took that as a good sign. Yeah, she's overthinking. He can't see it all, but, like, what teenagers read the newspaper anyway? If he went to the newspaper and looked for an article about you and remembered, he can read, girl.
Come on.
Read. Yeah. Although, wait, she's already in love with him. We don't need to convince her of that. So...
Yeah, she's. He could have not fully not even read that article, and she would still be in love with him.
Yes.
So Kim, very frazzled, comes back to Ron, where she divulges that she really wants to ask Josh to the dance, but this turns a little awkward because Ron is like, "Isn't that going to be weird? You, me, and him at the dance together?" And Kim is like, look, I know we've always gone to every single dance ever together, Ron, as friends. But I was thinking that for this dance, I would try and line up and find. And Ron goes, an enemy? And Kim goes, no, a date. Which, again, just this little sidelines of, an enemy? So casually. But no, she explains that she really wants to bring Josh as a date to the dance, and Ron is kind of disappointed for a second, which is, again, what made me be like, here's the plot line for the next 4 seasons. But Ron is actually like, okay, well, I'll find a date too, like, no probs. Like, pretty unbothered by it overarchingly. But while they're chatting, about who Ron is going to go ask, Kim gets beeped on her communicator, if you will.
Communicator.
It's so hard to say. But she gets paged, basically, by Wade, who they open up, they got a little video call on him, and they run to her locker where there's an even bigger computer, and Wade pops onto the screen. And he explains that after she saved the ambassador, and this is the only explanation of the entire, like, backstory in this entire episode, he goes, the website's been blowing up with requests. Some of these are, like, lame, like, can you come watch my cats? But we do have this one urgent one, and then we find out where they have to go. But, like, that's it. That's the only explanation, is Wade is like, you saved an ambassador, now our website's popping off.
Now everyone wants,
Here's
started from the bottom, now you're here.
And I was like,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. You just prevented World War III. So some people want you to watch their dog. Others would like you to destabilize a nuclear arms program in the Middle East.
The cat is
I gave them
more,
the variety of prices.
Those are pretty important cats. So one of the urgent missions that they've gotten is an alert from Tokyo that a factory has been taken over by Dr. Draken, who I guess is, like, already by this point with the website, like, an enemy of Kim's, or maybe it has to do with his backstory with him being her dad's roommate. Unclear to me at this point. So we see a clip of Draken, like, swinging from buildings in Tokyo right outside of a factory. And specifically, he's, like, swinging from his helicopters. He loves a helicopter, which are swarming this factory. And he specifically sees whatever intelligence Wade's got over there, and he smashes out a camera that they were watching him on. So they're like, we got to get to Tokyo. And Kim calls in a favor to get her there, which, as you kind of mentioned, Kim is like 14 or 15. She can't drive yet.
She can't drive.
So to, like, every single one of her missions, she has to call in a favor from, like, someone else who she saved before, which makes me be like, this has been happening for years because, like, they always mention the, like, thanks for doing the blah, blah, blah mission for me kind of thing. So in this first ride that they get here, it's with Britt Tina, who is a young blonde pop star, maybe like another Britney and Christina the time.
Perhaps, who were also blowing up in the year 2002.
Exactly. Perhaps. Yes. So she had saved one of her concerts or something like that. So Brittina lets them use her private jet. She's already on her way to Tokyo for a concert, probably.
Tag along.
Yes. And Brittina is saying how she's so impressed with how fearless Kim is. And Kim admits that she's not fearless all the time. There's one thing she's afraid of. Asking Josh to dance on Friday.
Oh, God.
Yes. And Brittina,
this pop star is going to give her some very sage advice for some reason.
Well, first of all, Brittina and Ron have the same reaction you did, plug for our YouTube, of the eye roll of like, oh, please.
Oh, seriously?
And in fact, it's not Brittina who gives the good advice. It's Ron who, while he is dopey much of the time, he does give good advice sometimes. Ron puts his magazine down that he was reading and looks at Brittina and says, do you want to go dance with me on Friday? And she says, no. And Ron goes, see, it was easy.
See how
that's
easy?
Someone.
Wow. Oh my God, Ron. I love this kid. Yeah.
I know. Like,
it's great.
No problem. Yeah. He's going to show her time and time again. It's easy. Get over it, Kim. So they land in Tokyo and they meet the owner of the factory. He's an older Japanese man in a very fine suit. And he has a translator with him who's a young woman that Ron also immediately asks out to the dance on Friday.
Oh my God, I love this guy. But he's just actually super confident too. He's not afraid of a no. He's like, exactly. Sure, whatever. Yeah. Like,
although this one...
Also, aren't they in Japan or whatever?
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
He says, do you want to come to my school dance in America on Friday with me? But this woman is working as a translator, so she thinks she's supposed to translate this for Ron to the factory owner. So she tells the factory owner in Japanese, do you want to go with this kid to his school dance on Friday? And the owner's like, can you just save my factory? No.
He's like, I don't have time for this.
No, I don't want to do this. This is extremely inappropriate, child.
Yes.
So, yes, they move on from that, slight miscommunication happening. And the translator explains to them that Draken has taken over their factory and that there's some workers still trapped inside being held as hostages that they're very concerned about. God. Yeah. And Kim and Ron ask how many hostages are inside. And she says 2. And Ron says 200? And she's like, no, there's only 2. It's like a huge factory. But she goes on to explain that there's only 2 workers in the entire factory, actually, not just the ones that are being held hostage. Because this is the most automated factory in the world. And it only needs like 2 people in it max. These are all like, this is some early AI. This is some early robotics.
Like, how topical.
Yes, Lord. Exactly.
23 later, and it's as relevant as ever.
This entire time I was like, yes, stealing jobs and also taking over. I see. The real villain here. Interesting.
There's so many people that you don't have to pay in that factory because they're not there.
Just those 2 people to make probably repairs to the machines.
Insane.
So... Yes, this whole time I was like, how deep do I want to go into the AI rabbit hole? And I was like, no, I already talked about this long intro. Maybe. Yeah, another time. Yep. Another time, another place. So, yes, not to fear, because no amount of people is too little for Team Possible to save. So Kim uses her favorite tool, a grappling hook, to shoot to the top of the building, and Ron follows suit. And they look down through a factory window and see down onto the factory floor. They see a few things. They see, the 2 workers who are tied up there. They see Dr. Draken. He is like ordering around his like goons, which are like these guys who are like head to toe, like all red outfits. It's almost like hazmat suits, but all red. And they are busy, these like goons, hooking up like these literal giant hooks to different pieces of machinery in the factory. And across the factory floor, there's like a bunch of TVs that have like this little cartoon on it. It's like this little cartoon, like smiley face that keeps going on and going, "Konnichiwa!" like over and over again. And like Dr. Draken is like
very like Japanese pop culture.
Exactly. Yeah. And Dr. Draken is like, "Cartoons are frying my brain. Turn this off." Which again, just so
hilarious.
Funny.
Meta comments. Yes.
Exactly. And Shigo is also there as well, helping like monitor the situation.
Doing the actual work.
Exactly. Doing the real work, not just complaining. Yeah. And Kim can't quite figure out why Draken is there. Like it turns out, she learns from the translator, this is a video game factory. So she's like, why are they here trying to steal video game shit? And Ron explains that this place actually makes the best like graphics cards in the business as well. So
perhaps like a modern day NVIDIA, maybe. I don't know. Also leading the charge towards automation. Anyways.
Interesting. Kim Possible knew. They knew.
Yeah, they always knew.
Always. Cartoons are always ahead of their times. Mm-hmm. So, they're like, why would he want these things? But there's no time to waste or worry, and they bust into the factory, and we kind of see like their usual dynamic here, which is Ron is bait always, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. It's it's a scary role, but it's necessary. He's playing a very important part in the overall equation.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Don't fix it.
It works.
Yeah.
Every time.
Exactly.
They got a good rhythm here.
Exactly.
So, yes, as Ron is a distraction with the goons all immediately going and pretty successfully trapping Ron, like right away, like catch him with a forklift or something like that, Kim is able to go and untie the workers and they are able to get free. But Kim has to go back to save Ron. And when Draken and Shigo see her, Draken goes, "It's Kim Possible, here to thwart my plan, and steps up as if he's going to tell the entire plan. And Shigo comes in and goes, "Don't stop to tell her your plan. When you start blabbing, she always wins. Like, shut up."
Yeah.
So again,
you're not helping.
Immediately from the jump, like, yes, like this kind of like self-referential humor of being like, the villains always have a monologue and it's always dumb. Don't do it. So
yeah, exactly.
And this is when I was also
right in front of the hero.
Yes. And this is also when I was like, okay, love you, Shigo. Yeah. But Shigo's right. So Draken drops his plan to tell everyone his plan. And instead gives the signal for the helicopters above to bust open the ceiling of the factory, to lower a bunch of ropes down to the things like the hooks that have been placed on the factory machinery. And then the helicopters lift the entire factory floor, literally the floor included, and machinery right up from the building, just the insides of the building. They gut the building.
Oh, the walls still stay. Gotcha.
Yep, they gut the building, and they fly out of there with Draken and Shigo in tow.
Convenient. Well done. Well done, evil team.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely nailed it. They literally gutted a building.
Hook, line, and sinker, quite literally.
Exactly. So back at home, we go to Kim's house, which is like a beautiful, like Frank Lloyd Wright, like mansion. Mm-hmm. And she's having breakfast with her dad, who's reading the newspaper. He's super proud that she was able to save the hostages. But Kim is like stewing because not only she is stressed out this morning. Not only does she have to figure out Draken's freaking plan to take over the world with like video game graphics and weird shit, but she has to ask Josh out before Friday.
Oh my God, the pressure.
The pressure is just, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And her dad's like, "Who's Josh?" And Kim goes, "Dad, he is such a hottie." And her dad is like, "So what about Draken and the bad guys? Let's not talk about hotties over breakfast."
Yeah.
But her mom overhears this as her and her brothers come in, and her mom's like, "Ooh, who's Josh? We want to ask him out. Just do it. Just spit it out. Just spill it. Like, just go do it," which is correct advice. Just like suck it up and do it. And her brothers have their own advice as well. Everyone's giving Kim advice here. Her brothers go, well, why don't you just
unsolicited
advice from these 10-year-old twins?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You let me know what you think of this advice. They say,
okay. Yeah.
Well, Kim, dummy, why don't you just send him some anonymous, untraceable emails that you route through Sweden, which is super easy to do. At which, by the way, her dad puts down his newspaper and goes, wait, your principal has been saying that he's been getting anonymous emails from Sweden. At which the twins run out of there.
So that's all that they offer up. That's it. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad idea, actually.
I mean, have you tried it?
I don't know about for asking someone
works.
to a dance, no, but like for other reasons, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Unrelated entirely. Could work.
Unrelated, but yeah. Good advice for some things, but maybe not this thing.
Not this, but somewhere it works.
So, okay. I shouldn't have doubted her 10-year-old brothers, actually.
Again, geniuses, boy geniuses.
Yes.
So we head to school that day and we get a montage of Kim trying to take her mom's advice of just sucking up and asking him out. But again, a montage of her just constantly fucking it up, embarrassing herself like over and over again, just unable to ever even get the words out. Her arch school rival, Bonnie, who's another cheerleader, is watching all of this and laughing at Kim as she continues to embarrass herself. We also have a montage of Ron trying to ask girls out left, right, and center. They all keep saying no. He doesn't give a shit. He just keeps on going, unbothered.
It's like doling out candy to some little kids or something.
Exactly.
For him. Just anyone he sees. Want to go to the dance with me? No.
He's Oprah.
Good for him.
Do you want to go to the dance with me? Do you want to go to the dance with me?
You get asked to the date. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, to save Kim from further making a fool of herself, Wade calls because he has located Draken's lair in the mountains where he's keeping all of the factory. So again, Kim and Ron were just at school and Wade was tracking down an international crime.
Yeah, doing the actual work.
Yes. So Ron and Kim head out. They're all suited up, heading to the snowy mountains. They're getting a ride there. Rufus is all wrapped up in a little scarf so he doesn't freeze.
And he's naked.
No, he's just naked under there. It's so cute.
It's cold.
He's just so kitty. So Kim says, all right, Ron, what's the sitch? What do we know? And Ron, who we learn right here and now, Ron is the realist. We learn that he wasn't just asking girls out at school, he was getting the hot goss on Josh and learning that Josh has been asked out by tons of girls higher up the food chain than Kim, and he has rejected all of them, including Bonnie.
The tea here is so strong. Fully caffeinated.
Ron, the fucking realist. Like,
Ron, good job.
He was asking the girls
well
out.
Done.
He has like a full-on folder dossier of the intel that he's gathered on.
He's like, the reason why I keep fucking up these missions is because I've been focusing on the other mission.
Here's your dossier. Yes. Wade doing one mission. I doing the other mission.
Doing the other. Yeah.
Equal importance here.
Yes.
But yes, Kim is
awesome. Because I bet you that all those girls that asked him that he turned down, I bet they didn't have articles in the newspaper about saving an ambassador that he happened to remember. I
sure bet they didn't. Just
saying, Kim. Anyways.
So again, Ron just getting that intel, getting the most important intel here.
Yes.
But they get to their drop point and Kim and Ron get out on some snowboards. Of course, Kim absolutely kills it. She cruises down that hill. Yeah, absolutely shreds until she can see the lair. And she calls Wade, who tells her that he's not able to disable the laser sensors surrounding the lair like any good villain lair has, but he can adjust the frequency so that she can see the lasers. So he does that, and we do see that, yes, there's lasers everywhere around this lair. And remember that I said Ron also got on a snowboard? He, of course.
Is he still on it?
Not barely. Barely hanging on. Let me tell you.
Is he at least near it?
He at least is in the proximity of snow. you know?
Okay, that's a start.
It's half the word snowboard.
That's kind of it. Yeah, that's
Half the
kind of
battle.
half. Yeah, that's half the word snowboard. He is not boarding it, but he is
Snowing.
in the snow.
Yeah, always very much in the snow. He is absolutely eating shit all the way down this mountain. He knocks Kim down as well, and they lurch right into where all the sensors are. But Kim regains her board and is able to deftly snowboard and jump through them all. Well, Ron, to his credit, this is a skill, is very good at falling. I know that sounds insane, but let me tell you, in rock climbing, knowing how to fall, especially bouldering, is actually a very important skill to have. And like,
good point.
Saves you from a lot. So Ron is good at falling. But you know who's not good at falling, it turns out?
Him.
Rufus.
Oh no.
And he slips out.
Where is he? Where is he safe? Is he okay, Grace?
Where is he? Where is she?
Where is she?
Rufus slips out of Ron's pocket right at the very, very last laser beam and slides across the snow, and just far enough that his little naked butt hits one of the sensors and sets off alarms everywhere. And they're immediately...
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
I don't.
It's Ron's
not his
fault.
fault. He's thick.
This
you
is
know?
all Ron's fault.
That little thick booty.
Those cheeks, it was bound to happen.
It's
Those little
his
naked
fault.
mole rat cheeks. Yeah.
He did nothing wrong. I'm a Rufus
He's just existing.
sympathizer forever.
Rufus literally cannot do wrong.
Nothing wrong. And so they are immediately swarmed and captured by all of the goons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, Ron. So they get brought inside, surrounded again by the goons, and there's like a little like metal catwalk up there, and Shigo comes out, definitely strutting her stuff on the catwalk, and Kim sees her and is like, they mutually like immediately are like, she's mine. Like Shigo is like to the
perhaps literally.
I'm telling you.
According to the fans.
According to some of the fans here. You know, I actually don't know how like divisive or like decisive that rumor is. It reminds me of the like in Harry Potter, like the side fanfic alternate universe of like Hermione and Draco instead of Hermione and Ron. I'm like, is this controversial?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm not part of the cult.
We welcome
I don't
controversy
know.
here.
Exactly. Let us know in the comments.
Exactly.
So, yes, Kim basically just like does a bunch of like front handsprings and backflips off of all of the goons to get herself up onto the catwalk to fight Shigo. And on her way up, though, she tosses down some chapstick to Ron, who grabs it and holds it out to the goons, who they all start laughing because it's like this like bright blue and pink, like limited to like Claire's glittery chapstick.
Clearly preteen girls.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably tastes like bubble gum or something.
Oh, 100%. But he and Rufus hold their breath and open the chapstick, which emits a green, noxious gas that knocks everyone around them out. They all pass out, all the goons.
I was like, is this a diss against either Ron or these goons? Like your lips are chapped. Get it together.
I know this wintry snow really dries you out, but like, come on, get it together.
Come on.
Although I will say there was a moment earlier where Kim like had her like compactor out to like see around a corner, and she like gasped, and Ron's like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "I have a zit." So like, I wouldn't be surprised if Kim does do stuff like that. She's
absolutely.
What does
she can't help it.
Exactly. So perhaps in my favorite moment of this episode, because we get a cutaway scene after we see this noxious gas. And it reminds me of a cutaway in The Incredibles with Frozone and his wife.
I literally just watched that movie yesterday, Grace.
Where is that? Yesterday?
You. Yes, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
Where is my super suit?
Super suit, woman.
God. We need time apart.
Incredible. No,
Incredible.
I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I was like, I've got like a couple hours to spare. I need something on in the background. And Incredibles was like on the list on Hulu of like movies of like top rated movies this week. And I was like,
Amazing.
I haven't watched that one in a while. So I just put it on while I was like doing
Oh
shit,
my
like cleaning and
God.
other stuff around here.
Incredible.
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 Yeah.
So, well, that's, I'm done.
Us.
look at us.
Look at us.
So, we're at Wade's house, and Wade's mom is holding up a pair of dirty gym socks that are emitting a green gas. And she says, Wade, what are you doing with your father's dirty gym socks? And Wade goes, Mom, I need those to make the chemical weapons. He doesn't actually say chemical weapons, but that's the vibe. And I thought it'd be funnier to say chemical weapons.
Incredible. Oh my God. Not even like, sorry, no pun intended anymore, but I see the connection.
Yes.
Like how that made you think of Frozone. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
So, yes. So, back to our fight scene away from Wade's house in the flashback here. Kim and Shigo are fighting atop the catwalk and actually, like, throwing some good punches, doing some sick moves. And Ron is able to throw the chapstick up to Kim, who also holds her breath and holds it in Shigo's face, who also passes out. So Ron and Kim join back together, but it's not a very peaceful reunion for long, because suddenly all of the factory pieces around them start to essentially come alive and piece themselves together, Transformers style. And they assemble themselves into a giant, again, Transformers robot.
Uh-oh.
Yep. And we see that in the center, like right in like the midsection of it, there's like a control center that Draken is in. And hilariously, the like face of the robot is like that little TV from before going, Konnichiwa!
Oh my God. I'm sure he loves that. Oh my God.
Yeah,
he's like rubbing his forehead the whole time up there.
This fucking thing.
I cannot wait for this to be over.
Yeah, he's like, I'm glad it turned into this destructive robot for me, but at what cost?
Yes.
But again, like this funny little thing of Draken, he looks at Kim and goes, my teenage foe. Which, like, I just found very funny of, like, again, just being like, hey, child.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up?
Why do you keep trying to kill me and I must kill you?
Why can't I kill you? You're a child.
With a teenager. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Get it together. Get it together.
Yep. So it turns out he has programmed this robot to basically be a killing machine, that it displays its strength right away by breaking a tank in half, which I was like, where did this tank come from? And also, oh no. And also, that's pretty strong.
Uh-oh. Yikes.
Big yikes. And also, he has modified this factory now turned robot that, like, is partially both controlled by Draken and also, like, automated type of thing. So I guess he's like punched in what he wants it to do, but is like still monitoring it to make sure it's working. It also now has laser guns as its hands and on its shoulders. And also the classic robotic, like extending claw arm type of things.
Traditional mods,
Traditional mods that perhaps he found in one of the video games that this factory made.
Exactly, yeah.
Perhaps.
So
yes, we mainly realized that he wanted to steal all this stuff because of the strength of this automated machinery / AI to build a self-actualized killing machine robot thing. So it's just your
for
casual,
Draken, it is normal, actually.
Very normal, I would say.
I wonder why it had to be a video game factory. I guess maybe he just knew what to upset kids with. I don't know.
I think it was because it just happened to be like the best factory. It could have been anything. It just happened to be like the most automated and advanced factory.
True. Yeah. He's like, I want minimal casualties. This factory only has 2 people in it.
I think he was just like,
minimal casualties until it's a destructive robot that's destroying tanks in the city. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, very different. So the robot, of course, starts attacking them. It's shooting lasers every which way that, of course, Ron is just barely not dying from, while Kim is doing flips and shit to stay safe. At which Draken bemoans this fact that Kim is a cheerleader and thus able to do all these flips and shits and shit. And he says, if she was on the debate team, I would have vaporized her by now.
Hey.
Konnichiwa!
You never know. You can debate someone to death.
I mean,
and it just again proves like how not undercover she is and all of this. Like Draken knows all of her extracurriculars.
She is a cheerleader.
Even.
Like,
yeah, she's not on the debate team. She is this. Yeah, she goes to Middleton, whatever school.
It's all out there. She's got a whole bio on her website.
She's in the newspaper every week, like smiling for the camera.
Yeah. So at one point, this robot shoots a giant hole like in the wall or in the floor or something, and Kim is able to slip in it and disappear. And she's sneaking around through the layer behind the robot when she gets a call from Wade, who explains that he was able to find the schematics from the original factory, because of course he can, and he saw that there is actually an override module on it. If Kim can find this module and plug the communicator into it, he can take over the robot and shut it down.
Okay.
So Kim is like, I got you.
Gotcha.
So she is able to, again, sneak around the other side of this layer and actually jump onto the robot's back, which makes it start thrashing at its own back, classic. And in the process, it is like damaging its like outer layer of like armor and like metal. And in the process, it reveals the module, like the plug-in point that Kim is able to slam the communicator down onto.
Okay.
And so Wade begins trying to hack the system, but is stopped. He gets pretty far, but he's stopped by the final, firewall, a final password that he can't figure out how to break into it. So he's trying all different types of things. And while this is happening, Ron gets clamped by one of the claws, like the extendo claws, and gets brought up, dangling by his feet as Draken is laughing. And in the background, of course, while this chaos is happening, Kim is still holding on to the back. We hear, Konnichiwa!
Oh my God.
And Wade realizes, that's the password.
Okay.
Not subtle at all.
No, I was going to say subtle. Very subtle.
Yes. So he enters it, and the robot, instead of powering down, interestingly, is taken over by Wade, which I was like, wait. I don't know. I was like, wait, I thought you were going to power this down, bro. Like, you have to shut this shit down. It made me say, is Wade going to grow up and be an evil genius who wants this power? We already said he's going to be a billionaire, a tech billionaire.
That's half the battle to becoming a supervillain.
Exactly. And you know what? Either way, love that journey for him. You go, Wade.
Yeah, you know what?
You do you.
Maybe we can root for one potential billionaire. Maybe tech billionaire. Maybe one of them can succeed in this
I didn't
world.
say what he would use his power for. I just said, is he going to grow up and be a genius? Maybe an evil genius.
A mad genius, evil genius.
Yeah, mad genius. Rich genius.
He's like remote controlling this and like, oh no, I'm just seeing, I'm trying to figure out all the kinks so we can make sure this never happens again.
I'm trying to find the super forever shut off
buying time just to send data to his private
to himself
server or whatever, so he can replicate it in the future. Yeah,
exactly.
And perfect it. Yeah.
And this is the time
finally got it shut off.
This is the time just barely past dial up too. And so his mom's outside the bedroom being like, wait,
on the phone.
Yeah. Why are you
I'm trying to use the phone.
Yeah. You hear the dial-up tones. Breaking your eardrums. But Wade is good. Instead of fully, taking control evilly or anything like that yet, he uses one of the claws to go into the control center and clamp down on Draken. now dangling him too by his feet right in front of Ron as they start like slap fighting each other, which is like a very funny thing in this show too. Like pretty much throughout the show is that like all men are idiots, which I think is very funny, obviously.
Yes.
So yes,
especially Draken, yeah, and they're like not like Kim is the only one who actually is competent and can fight, like can do both things. Like other than that, it's like you're either very smart and you cannot fight or fend for yourself at all if you're a man, or you're like Wade, you're very very smart and like we don't even know what you physically can do.
Yeah, we never see you leave your room.
Yeah.
But Wade, yes, we now figure out, should have fully just turned it off because Shigo has woken back up from being passed out and is able to climb up the robot and get into like the control command center. Actually, before she climbs up there, she's able to shoot her kind of superpower, because she just kind of has superpowers, which like she can control like energy forces, I think. And she shoots it right at the communicator on the back of the robot and knocks it off, kicking Wade out of the system. He flew too close to the sun, basically.
He did, and we know what happens.
Got burnt, baby. So came crashing down. And so now Shigo, climbs up and is able to get into the control center. And Kim sees this and climbs up there too. And they start fighting in this room to gain control of the robot. I think somehow like the automated robot part out of it is like, it's still trying to fight a little bit, but then like knocking around the control center is also like moving all of the controls in it. So it's just absolute chaos. The robot is like spinning in circles. Thankfully, it eventually drops Ron and Draken. But Kim is distracted as Ron is falling, presumably to his death. This is a huge robot.
True. Yes.
And Shigo uses that chance to like get the controls and like yeet the robot in a certain direction that makes Kim lose her footing and fall out of the control room. But joke's on her. On Shigo, because as Kim falls, she uses her grappling hook gun thing to, of course, shoot around the robot's legs and like use the momentum to spin around it. Classically,
very
oldest trick
Star
in the
Wars.
book. Yes, exactly. Bringing down those giant things.
5, yes.
It, of course, trips over itself, falling, and as it falls, Kim's able to grab Ron and save them both. And then we head back to school. We learned that Draken got arrested, they say. Like, Draken was in prison. No word on Shigo, though. Just Draken.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
She would be the one to get away.
Yeah, she for sure does not help Draken not get caught.
Yeah.
And in the hall here at school, Ron basically shoves Kim right in front of Josh. She finally blurts out that she wants to go to the dance with him. Of course, he says, yes, you were right. He was saying no to all those other girls in the hopes that she would ask him, and she finally did. And that's the end.
I mean, girls, if a teenage boy is saying he read about you in the newspaper,
take a hint, ladies.
Anyways, amazing. Good job.
Thank you.
Perfect depiction of like this overall show, I'd say.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it was very fun. I really like all of, again, like the little side lines. I like wanted to write down so many other lines, but then I was like, it's just going to be me word for word saying the like quotes of this show. I can't just do that the whole time.
You can't just copy all the dialogue.
I got to do something more than that. So I did. But yes, it was so fun. I'm super stoked about this arc, about us doing this show. Between now and next week for your first Compossible episode, who should our listeners and viewers tell about the show?
I think you should tell a rocket scientist.
Oh, okay.
Just like Mr. Possible. And because it'll tie in for next week's episode very well, too.
Oh, okay.
Go on, Grace. Who should they tell?
I think after that, you should tell a neurosurgeon, just like Dr. Possible.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. And let them know. And then we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Till then. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.